Thank you for coming. My name is Chris Hightree-Darrington. And to sum it up, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love finding good ideas, good technologies, and surrounding it with good people, great people, and capital to get the company going. I far more enjoy putting companies together than I do to run them, because that's why it's boring. It's part of the ADD. Let me give you a little story to help set the stage. Is that 3 years ago, I had started a mutual fund software company to help nonprofits, and we were developing the product, and the complexity of the back end was exceeding our budget. So much to the point I was pulling money out of my pocket to keep the project going, because we've blown through our investment capital. And so we were using urban labor at $75 an hour. And on a personal trip to middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, if you've ever been up to by Manitowoc, Wisconsin, I was talking with the economic development director, and I asked him, what could I hire rural entry-level IT people for? And he flipped through his book, $17 an hour. And I about spewed my Diet Coke over the lunch table, because I had 2 projects at the time in India that I was outsourcing for $13.57. And out of that lunch came the formation of another company that basically is an outsourcing company called Rural America. And I'm the CEO of Rural America. And my business partner and I started the company about 2.5 years ago. And it's basically an outsourcing company that people from all over the world give us projects to do. Instead of us hiring people from India or China to do the work, we hire people from rural America. And I've always been a huge advocate of broadband, because we can't put these talented people to work if they don't have broadband. And I'm also a columnist blogger for the Huffington Post. And if you go online right now, under the Small Business America, you'll see this article, article right here talking about broadband and this conference and the work that everybody's doing to make broadband become a reality across America. So let's continue to set the stage, and I'm going to go through 4 facts very quickly. One is that in spite of our technology prowess, and for multiple different reasons, the USA is 22nd in the density of broadband penetration. That's why we're having conferences like this to move us up higher in the rankings. Fact 2, there are 50 million people that live in the rural Americas, a population of less than 10,000. 50 million people. Fact 3, these areas have a 75% broadband penetration when compared to the 89% nationwide. There's a delta there of 14%. Fact 4, $7 billion has been of our children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren's money is being used to expand broadband. These 4 facts means there is a huge market of people, of 10 million people. And if you took that market and compared it by states, it would be the 8th largest state in the USA. These 10 million people are going to need jobs. They're going to need training. They're going to need education. A huge market. And as an entrepreneur, it makes me just go like, woohoo! This is a great, I love doing startups. Let's find niches. And there is a land race right now of people who are bringing out all these different products and services to serve this rural market. Depending on what study you look at, it's 250 to 2.4 million new jobs will be created. How do you manage these people? How do you put these people to work? How do you help them create businesses? These businesses will need infrastructure, whether it's websites, marketing material, cloud computing, different things like that. Medicine, remote medicine is a great topic that a lot of large companies of all sizes are looking at right now. The one niche that I focused on, like I mentioned earlier, is onshoring, is that there are highly talented people nationwide who need broadband to be able to work. And these new broadband users will create thousands of jobs that are coming back from overseas back to the USA. Now, in many parts of rural America, you still can buy a house for $90,000, $100,000, $125,000. What can you buy? What will that buy you in Chicago, Cincinnati, LA? So these people have a much lower cost of living, and because of their lower cost of living and the lifestyle they've chosen, they're willing to work for half, approximately half of what urban Americans earn. Now, that makes us now cost competitive with offshoring. These people, like I mentioned before, are well skilled, and we unfortunately have to repeatedly turn people away who contact us because they've moved to an area of rural America and they don't have broadband. Now, I'm also going to set the stage a little bit more by discussing the different types of outsourcing, just to show you how onshoring fits into this. For centuries, businesses, USA businesses, always took their outsourcing projects across town, across streets, across geographical areas as transportation improved. And a few decades ago, large companies realized, oh, has anybody read the book, The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman? About that thick, can't fast read it, but he talks about all this convergence of different technologies and geographical and social trends that allowed large companies to send work overseas. And so we all know about the flood of jobs that went overseas on offshoring. And in the last few years, we've seen areas now besides India and China. We've seen areas in Central America, South America, Canada are now starting to get into the outsourcing industry called nearshoring. And last but not least, what we're seeing now is in the last few years, a person named Kathy White out of Jonesboro, Arkansas is credited as one of the first pioneers of it, of onshoring of domestic firms in rural areas providing a wide range of different services. So it's almost like a circle. We saw work go to India, and we'll start in the US, then off to India, and then go hit geographical around the US, and now that the rural market is opening up, onshoring is going on. Now, offshoring is still growing by percentage-wise, but it's slowing down because for many classifications, like in India, it is more expensive to hire the person in Bangalore than it is to hire the person here in the US. Cost of living has increased. So the huge labor savings that was India and even China now is diminishing. Low cost, many companies have found out by chasing the low cost dollar, it doesn't work. And large companies are the ones that primarily benefit from offshoring right now. They recognize that they have to have access to additional labor, and they also want to open themselves up to growth into international markets. Small businesses, medium-sized businesses, it just doesn't work because you don't have the management oversight. Outsourcing works well when you have additional layer of management to manage the project. Large companies can afford to put additional layers, whether it's their own people or people hired in that geographical area, to manage the project. The cost savings they may have gained from initially going to that country are usually wiped out in an additional management layer. Small companies like mine, like I was talking about earlier, where I sent my software overseas, I couldn't afford that layer of management. I had to trust their management with dismal results. And tying to Thomas Friedman's book, that the world is flat, I state now that rural America is flat. The need to go overseas for outsourcing has come full circle. Rural America is 20 to 40% less cost than urban America. It's the same cost or slightly more than offshore. cost of communication, time differentials, different things like that, it could be actually cheaper. Same language, same cultures, and from a business person's perspective, many countries around the world don't respect intellectual property or IP. As the U.S. has well-established IP laws that protects the company's most valuable asset besides their people, which is the IP. So companies are recognizing that they can bring the work back to the U.S. And if you see in the news lately that more and more onshoring is coming back. This is one of my